Well, good morning, everybody. And as we start off this Halloween, which, by the way, happy Halloween to everyone, the pattern that we're about to enter is going to be very active for a lot of folks across the United States. It's the one that shifted last week, and now we're getting kind of the full result of this. And it's likely that we're going to see more and more of this throughout the front half of the month of November. So the map I've been talking over here is the one that shows you the next 7 days of total accumulated precipitation from the WPC. So this is part of NOAA, the National Weather Service. And what's most important about seeing this map is what's going on in the Pacific Northwest, where here on the windward-facing slopes, we could be talking about 3 to 6 plus inches of liquid equivalent due to the strong onshore flow. And what that typically translates into is how systems will come over the mountains and then eject. We get what's called least cyclogenesis on this side of the mountains. And with the system we're going to be watching late this week, it appears that it will be able to draw enough moisture back to the west to hit the hard red winter wheat belt, which is an area we were talking about and very concerned about last week. So we're going to see how far back to the west this moisture is returned. Now, places here in the northern plains where it remains very dry, and across the east where it remains drier in pockets, we do have some precipitation coming there as well. But it is nice to see that the jet stream will dip far enough to the south, that we'll get moisture down into the Sierra Nevada as well. Now, over the last 7 days, this has actually been an area that's seen quite a bit of precipitation. Take a look at this. This map goes through midnight this morning. So 12 a.m. this morning, and looks at the last 7 days of total accumulated precipitation. So we've had multiple systems plus a large front that lined up here, a system that followed it, and then one this weekend that followed it that added a lot of rain into this particular area. And what's good about this is it has kind of put a dent overall in the drought scenario there. And I put an animation in today's report showing you the entirety of October looking at this 16-inch soil moisture map. But right into here is where we've seen some significant change. You can also see this is the kind of first major arrival of very wet weather to the Pacific Northwest here along the coast, but a whole lot more is going to be coming into that area. Now, I have looked at the river gauge data, and I've been focusing a lot on Memphis. The river's actually up 3 feet over where it was at its lowest back there on like October 20th through the 23rd. And so it's coming up, but it's still about 12 feet below low stage. So we have a lot more moisture that's needed to bring this up. So let's take a look at it. This map, again, stressing what I started off with today. This is the next 10 days, looking at the probability of getting at least an inch of liquid equivalent. So some of that will be snow, like through the Canadian prairie and, of course, in the western mountains. But what's important is we've now seen the models bring this value up in Kansas and Oklahoma, in parts of Nebraska and Iowa, into that 60 to 80% chance of getting at least an inch of liquid equivalent. And what's important about this is that the whole jet stream pattern is just completely broken down over where it was through the first 3 weeks of October. There are now troughs coming into the Gulf of Alaska. There's high momentum in the flow, and these systems are entering the northwest and then ejecting into the plains like the wave that you see right here. All right, so let's get right on into the models and just see where this is all going. We're going to start with the European. Now, don't forget, we do have a lead wave here. This is one that came out of Texas, spawned all the severe weather down here in southern Mississippi. This is the one that's now coming up through the Ohio River Valley, still spreading some light rain here. We're going to watch this throughout the day, work its way through the eastern Corn Belt into New England, and drag a front this evening, kind of ruining trick-or-treating for some folks here, like in West Virginia, down through the Carolinas. It'll also be the same for these scattered showers to move through parts of New England. So that's system number one. It clears the coast probably by Tuesday afternoon. At that point, though, you can see the next system coming into the northwest. And this is actually going to have two pieces that break off to it. One that goes through the Canadian prairie, but the deeper trough dives into the west. So take a look. As we go through Tuesday into Wednesday morning, afternoon, and evening, you can see that first push there hits parts of northern Idaho. In fact, I'm heading to Boise tonight, so I'll be out here to kind of witness this. And then I'll be later on this week over in Washington. So I'll be behind this system as it goes through parts of Montana into southern Saskatchewan and Alberta, and then races on off toward the Hudson Bay. The second piece then comes through the Rockies after delivering some snow to the Sierra Nevada. And this is the one I'm getting very concerned about, because the models have been consistent that by the end of this week, this could emerge in the southern plains. And yes, it delivers the rainfall, but it also delivers the threat for some severe weather. When is it timed? I'll be honest. I think it's a Friday into Saturday event, but with a second wave coming through on Saturday in through here. But it at this point appears to draw enough moisture back to the west to deliver some rains to Kansas. Now that system pulls through the upper Midwest by the time we get into Sunday, and yeah, there may be some snow on the backside of this, But then notice the northwest just doesn't slow down. The next system comes in, and we're just going to continue to watch this occur until the pattern starts to shift around. Now, I'm going to show you a snow map, but understand that this is going to change quite a bit. But I really want to just point out that through the end of this week, we are going to be putting in some decent snows into the Cascade and the Sierra Nevada, and then certainly northern Rockies into the central Rockies. And because the flow doesn't stop, okay, we just keep adding that up through middle of next week. Now, this is an unknown. We don't quite know how much precipitation in terms of snow is going to come just to the east of the Red River Valley of the North, but we'll be watching that pretty carefully as well. In terms of using the ensembles to figure out the snow, this is the probability of getting at least 6 inches through the next 10 days. And take a look. That's 12, and this is 18. So this is some great snow coming in early into the Pacific Northwest, like the Cascades and Northern Rockies. So I like to see that. Overall, this is what our next 2 weeks look like. On the left, that is the next 7 days of precipitation anomalies. And on the right, we've got week 2. The reason for the drier conditions you see here is because of some subtropical ridging in this area. But there is this cutoff feature that's going to sit over the Bahamas and slowly move north early next week. And if it gets close enough to the East Coast, we could bring in some rain from Florida all the way up through Virginia. We'll have to watch that carefully, and we'll see if this fully forms. But right here, that's been something I've been focused on, and will we deliver that much rainfall to parts of Kansas and Nebraska and Oklahoma, which is desperately needed. On the temperature side of it, watch how hot it's going to get in the central United States today and tomorrow. So if you look at my color bar, these temperatures are almost 30 degrees above normal. And that warmth is underneath that large ridge, and it spreads east while much colder air comes into the west by the time we get later in this week. And it'll be on Thursday into Friday that we're going to watch this system emerge here. That will be the trick to see what the temperature pattern is doing, how deeply we can draw in the moisture, and if we'll destabilize. Right now, I'll just be concerned about Kansas, Oklahoma, into Texas, this whole region for the risk of severe storms on Friday and possibly again on Saturday. Now, who stays warm through this whole time period? It's primarily the east, because we see multiple shots of cooler air coming into the west. But take a look at this. On the left, I have the day 5 through 10 temperature anomaly, so that gets you out through the 9th of November. And on the right, I've got the day 10 through 15, which gets us through the 14th. And some very cold air will be invading the Canadian prairies, the northern plains of the United States, and much of the west during this time period. So we need to see this because October was very hot, the first 3 weeks of it, in these same regions, which are now quite cold. So the pattern's really flipped over. Speaking of cold fronts, we have one that has started down here in Chile and Argentina and is moving throughout this entire week to eventually clear the Amazon and get all the way up here into parts of northern Brazil. Now, this morning, I have seen some reports of patchy frost in Buenos Aires, and yes, that would be a late frost, and it would very much impact some crops. I can't verify those reports just yet. I need to see some more data and understand where this frost extent got to, but we'll watch for it again tomorrow. The main point here is to show you that because that front clears things out, we're going to go over very dry again for Argentina, southern Brazil, and then actually working its way up toward Mato Grosso. I'm not concerned about it in Mato Grosso. It's just a temporary drying because I think the pattern will go back over wet in this area in the month of November. But just to kind of finish off with Mato Grosso, they released their latest planting progress data on Friday. They've matched last year's pace, which is about 20% ahead of the 5-year average, and this crop has gone in very quick in the northern growing areas. I've also heard reports that we've seen more soybeans than normal go in early. In other words, there's a first crop of corn that goes in, but it has been reduced this year, maybe more safrinha corn compared to normal. And so all of that will be affected by La Nina. And tonight, it'll be very late tonight when I get into the Northwest, but I will produce a long-range outlook for the globe, and we will talk about issues with this La Nina and maybe when it could really show signs of weakening. So get all that to you tonight, late. And until then, have a good rest of your day. Thanks.